Well, how's it going, boys and girls? Welcome back to another Friday Live at 3. Spend a little time answering some questions, maybe some that I got sent in during the week, others that I couldn't answer. And we'll definitely lead off with that one about that 450R. They'd asked me about the decompression adjustment on a 2005 Honda CRF 450. So we'll be taking a look at that or explaining that a little bit because I couldn't remember the exact specs off the top of my head. But before we dive into that, to those of you out there that are Supercross fanatics, well, Partzilla was out in force with Team PRMX in Anaheim 1. And this is the first round of the season, the first round at Anaheim. And I believe they're going to be back in next week for round 2. But one of our super producers, Mike, was on site, and he put together a little teaser video showing some of the riders on Partzilla Team PRMX. So Nathan, if you would roll that, well, let me introduce you to the guys.
Let's go racing. Partzilla, PRMX Box Power team. It's super excited to be here. Can't wait to get racing.
Here. Oh, we're fired up, dude. I've been off for fucking damn near 6 months. Mom, excuse my language. When everyone sees me this pumped, you wondering why? You guys don't see behind the scenes. I've been through a lot, and that was awesome.
How do you feel? Great! Thank you!
So you think the team was pumped up or what? No, listen, I know a lot of, especially like myself, we live way over here on the other side of the country. So you can tune in and watch it on Peacock TV. So just look for the Supercross Series Anaheim #2. And I believe the Supercross Series is actually racing somewhere this weekend, but Team PRMX is not going to be there. They will. They're holding out for round 2 at Anaheim. So go check them out. Well, we have been busy in the studio this week doing a gold wing that I'm staring at, and then it's going to go up for sale because we're actually finished with that project. I think I held on to it a little bit too long. I got to test ride it every so often, and now I'm probably going to have to give up my toy. Other project is one of my personal cars, and if you didn't already know that Partzilla is carrying auto parts, well, we do. So go check out the site. You'll see a little bar that says automotive. Click under there and then pick your year, make, and model and see if we can help you out with any parts for your car or truck. So go check it out. All right, kids, let's spin around to whatever y'all send me today, plus what I need to lead off with, which is that CRF 450R question. This was Daniel Yaros had asked me last week, you never decompression valve on the 2008 CRF 450R in your rebuild video. Can you explain? All right. You adjust your valves, but the trick is on that exhaust valve where that decompression lever measurement is that you set it to, and it should be in between 10 and 12 thousandths. If it's 10 or it's 11 or if it's 12, and let's just say it's 11 thousandths clearance that you have there, you add 14 thousandths to that. So you'll set the clearance on the decompression part to 25 thousandths. So that makes sense. Well, that's how it's done. All right. And these next are some that people sent in during this last week. Party Dandy 7, my 2004 YFC has a light problem. Only the backlight turns on, but not the front ones. And I just put in new bulbs. What can be the problem? More than likely, it's going to be a fuse, because if memory serves, there's two separate circuits for the lights on that, the brake light versus the headlight, the headlamps themselves. So more than likely, you just have a pop fuse. And if that is not the case, and it is just one fuse, then it's going to be a wiring problem, more than likely. One other possibility could be in your switch. Now, I've gone through a couple of different electronic or electrical diagnostic videos. I'm trying to think of the best one. One that we did recently. It's sad that I record these things and I can't remember if they're live or not. I did one on a Honda Rancher on the lighting system. And now, granted, it's a different manufacturer, but the basic rules are going to be pretty much be the same. So if you would look up that, it's the older Rancher, that orange one that I brought back into the studio to work on it a little bit. I think the primary reason behind that video was explaining wiring diagrams and how to trace out the circuits. So that would probably be a good one for you to look at, because it's going to be similar to the YFC. Steve Kelly, is there a way of replacing my GSX R1000 gas cap without removing the tank? Those two screws on the underside, are they absolutely required to remove in order to do so? I've replaced a cap on one of those before, and if I remember correctly, yes, you have to attack it from the bottom. And I'm sure that we did a video on that one. Now, granted, it's been about 4 or 5 years, but yeah, you need to remove the tank and drain it, and then you're actually going in through the bottom to get up to those two screws that you're talking about. Just somebody have a special tool that would reach around and get those? I doubt it. So I had to go through and actually just remove it through going through the bottom. And to make mine even more challenging, we lost the keys to it. So I had to get around that as well. Can't even remember how I did it, but I was pretty proud of myself when I actually got it finished. So go check out that video and I can walk you through the process. William Steele. So I have a CBR 600RR 1997 that has no spark. I have no clue what to do. I know how that feels. I'm thinking about replacing the rectifier. The web states that the stator, which is what creates the spark, but I don't know. I bought the bike for $200 and I wanted to get it running. Man, you got a deal on it then, didn't you? Regulator rectifier. No, that has that just does what that has to do with the charge not being in the right, not being operational, and/or could be a gear position switch, the clutch switch. Although I don't think it'll let the engine spin over. I don't think it'll let the engine spin over if it senses that. All right, we out of the lag sequence. Oh, Williams, okay. As you can see, we're having some lag issues. But real quick to recap the question, it was a 600RR that has no spark. more than likely it is your pickup coil. But do keep in mind that it could be the one of the other sensors that would keep it from getting a spark. Tip over sensor, but I think that one actually keeps it from spinning over, as well as the side stand. But just things to think about before you guys just start throwing parts at it. Freddie King's, my 2010 GSXR 600 stalls on idle after a cold startup up until about 130-degree temp. What to do? That kind of sounds like a failing or a failed idle air control valve, because it does most of its work when that engine is cold. So that tells me it's probably stuck in in the heated position, if you will, as far as what it's how it's compensating. So that's probably where I'd look first. How are we doing, Nathan? We still laggy, or are we good to go? Ronald Lorang, a 2005 Raptor, turns over, no spark, new stator, new coil, switches work, key works, and you already did the coil. All right, when you did the coil, did you replace the cap as well? That would be one of the first places I would look. Now there is a video that we did on I can't remember if it was a Raptor or a Honda. Raptor or a Honda that we can drop a related video in the chat that can walk you through that process. But do take a look, because I can't remember on the exploded diagrams if the coil is separate, or the pickup coil is separate from the stator wiring. So you may want to look into the exploded parts diagram and see if that's two separate units or if it's one, and maybe that is causing the issue. River Rat D, how does oil get in the intake? Okay, I bought a brand new 2019 YXZ, upgraded to a K&N secondary filter. I replaced it when it had 5 miles on the SE on the side-by-side, and it had oil in the intake just like this one. How does that happen? The YXZ has what they call a dry sump system, and they can be a little tricky to refill. A lot of times people put in too much oil, and when you do that, guess what? It spits it out through the breather hose, which is connected to what? Yep, you guessed it, your air box. So more than likely, your unit has too much oil in it. Now, I know that we did an oil change video on our 2016 YXZ 1000R, but it's basically the same. It's the same engine, so I can walk you through that process to correctly fill it, and then check it, because it's kind of involved. It's not just, hey, open up a dipstick and take a look. You have to run it for X amount of time, let it sit for X amount of time, and then check it, because you're actually checking the catch tank, because there is no dipstick that goes into the engine. So you replace the secondary filter. You haven't gone after that primary one, huh? We also have a video that shows you how to do that. That is a bit challenging. And if you own a YXZ and you haven't changed that filter or taken a look at it in a while, you need to. Trust me. A lot of people don't even know it's there. It's actually on the air intake plenum box, which is attached to the engine itself. So go check out that video. I'll show you how to cut up a couple of corners where it won't, you don't have to disassemble the entire machine. All right, well, that catches me up for last week. Let's see what we've got for this week. Johnny Stoltz. Hey, how's it going, Johnny? Hello, John. 2016 Honda Rubicon 500 power steering sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. How to diagnose and solve the problem? All right, one question, Johnny. Has it been really cold, or is it cold where you live? Because I had read about the Rubicon's power steering actually freezing, and then when it actually thaws out, it would cause an intermittent contact in the windings of the steering itself. So I wonder if maybe yours has suffered that same fate. I mentioned this because, well, it's cold this time of year. So I wonder if that's what's happening to yours. You may want to try defrosting it and see what it does. Just thinking out of the box. Other than that, you have to just figure out if it's throwing a code. Just start chasing whatever code that might be for the steering itself. Mason Power Sports and More says, "Hey John, I fixed my backfiring issue on my '06 Kodiak 400 4x4, but when it starts, it seems to be running rich. It'll idle with the right amount of fuel, but it won't start or at all with the air system. Also, it is also in time." Well, I would lean more or lean toward the pilot circuit being stopped up if it doesn't want to idle unless you're forcing more fuel into it, because any carburetor that circuit passageways are really small and they can be really difficult to get cleaned out. So I would say probably need to go back and take one more pass at that to see if you can get it to straighten up. QC asks, basic operation on when to change out a chain on a CRF 250. When you get all the way to the end of the adjustment on your swing arm, there you go. I mean, I've seen people that they'll stretch it all the way out and then just take out a link and then keep going. Can you do that? Well, maybe if you were running steel sprockets to where they're not going to wear out as fast as an aluminum, but I'm pretty sure the 250 had aluminum. So in between it maxing out the extension or looking at the sprockets themselves, if the teeth are starting to round or completely rounded forward, it's time to go ahead and do it. And me, if I'm replacing a chain, I'm usually doing sprockets at the same time, unless they really look fantastic, because I'd rather see all of those wear together. And I think they last longer when they at least start together versus putting a new chain on old sprockets. Just my 2 cents worth. And plus, most of the times, the kits you can buy are when they've got the front and rear sprocket and the chain. Hell, they're just most times they're cheaper than just buying the chain by itself. Sometimes. Maracus asks, what is your opinion on the GSXR 1000 2008? Just bought one with 26,000 miles. I think it's a good machine. We had a 07 one here, I believe, that white one. Did a lot of work to it. Only thing I can point out to be careful with it on is that particular one has 2 sets of fuel injectors on it. And if you don't keep up with all of them, keeping them all, if you ride your bike enough, this ain't going to be a problem. But if you let it sit too long, especially those primary or the first stage injectors, they'll get clogged up pretty easy. I know because I let our bike sit up for too long, and it made me pretty much clean all 8, believe it or not. So as long as you ride it, won't be a problem. Portuguese Marco asks, hi, when are you going to make a new Grom? I don't know. The production team hasn't, we haven't decided what we're going to do for this year as far as my big build. So you tell us what you want to see. Now we've already done the Grom. So if we do one, it would probably be the Monkey, or we toyed with doing the new little 125 CT, or what replaced the CT90 and the CT110. Beyond that, we also had that dinosaur, really ugly 05 400EX. That's the one I would like to do. So y'all tell us, which one would you like to see us do out of those 3? Now, all 3 of those are Hondas. Well, we can work on other things as we have proven. Back to the power steering question. Yes, it's cold these days, 5 to 10 below in the morning. Bet you I'm right about this then, Johnny. Get out your heat gun and warm up that power steering motor and see if it acts right. I bet you that's what's happened. It's probably frozen in there. Weird. All right. Stephen Douglas Eli asks, what's the best way to find OEM fairings for a, oh boy, 30-plus-year-old bike? I have a 1998 CBR 900RR, and finding OEM fairings has proven to be difficult. Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. And you know where I'm going to go, and I'm sure you've already gone there, eBay. But one other place that I've had a lot of luck on, although you have to change your search areas, is Facebook Marketplace. Now, granted, there aren't nearly as many protections as far as you in between you and your money and losing your money, unless you're going to do a direct swap for product versus cash or whatever. But that'd be one other place to look. There are a couple of specialty websites, although that's becoming a little bit of a thing of the past, of these motorcycle junkyards, if you will, that you can search out. But it's just going to be you and Google for the most part when it comes to this really old, these really older parts that are just not in production anymore. And especially on a fairing, there's not many companies that are going to try to do reproductions, especially on a machine that old and that specific. I mean, it's just going to probably be that 1 or 2 year period where that particular fairing would work or be applied to that machine. It's tough restoring these older machines. I would know because I have an affinity for them. Looking to restore a 2001, I think it's that's what I adapted it to, or a 2002 Raptor 80 four-wheeler. It was my son's, and now I'm going to restore it for his son. Do they make plastics for it anymore? No, they don't. So I'm in the same boat as you. Kyle Lee Reese asks, I hear a roaring vibration noise in neutral with the clutch pulled in. A 05 YFZ R6 and the same on a 98 CNR 600 F3. The clutch is adjusted correctly. Are both bearings going out? It sure sounds like it. In the automotive world, that is what I call the throwout bearing. That's the bearing that that arm is pushing against when it's activating those plates or pushing into the springs. So are they both going out? That's where I'd look first. Pretty simple. Pull that outside cover, spin the bearing. If it doesn't feel extremely smooth, well, there you go. Plus, you're already going to be there. Go ahead and replace it and see what happens. But that would be my bet on both of those. It's just kind of odd that they're hitting you with a 1-2 punch. Rock House asks, hey, John, love your channel. Thank you, sir. I have a 2011 Grizzly 700, and it has a fuel smell after riding for a bit. It doesn't backfire at all. Any ideas of what that cause could be and a fix? I would think that you've got a line sweating somewhere on your fuel injection system. So that's something you need to address sooner than later. And the best way I know to run down any type of leak like that is start with the machine off, spray down everything with brake cleaner to where it really dries that out, then bring the system up and just start looking for a line somewhere to get wet. Beyond that, I mean, could your injector be leaking a little bit? In other words, not closing all the way and maybe oversaturating the or dribbling into the intake. That could be a possibility. I'd look on the outside first and then take a peek on the inside and see if you've got a drip on the in that injector, because I've seen them before where a little particulate will make it through there and it won't allow it to shut off all the way, if that makes any sense. So take a peek first on the outside, then the inside, and see what you come up with. Johnny Stoltz came back. How would you go about fixing stripped out threads on four-wheeler engines without replacing engine cases? All right, well, this will probably get me in trouble because there's a lot of people that really like helicals. I fall into the time cert camp, and I did a video that compared the two, and I replaced, well, on purpose, stripped out a set of threads on our CRF 450R engine. It was a broken case, but we won't talk about how I broke it. But I'll walk you through the process to do both, and then you can decide if you want to use the helical or the time cert. I'm more of a fan of the time cert. It's just a cleaner system, in my opinion. Matter of fact, just had to time cert a strip thread on a BMW M5 block. You think I was nervous? You damn right I was, but it turned out really well. And I actually recorded that. I think I may put it on our upcoming automotive channel on YouTube. Looking forward to that. I'm just collecting a bunch of footage before we start editing. Hopefully y'all like BMWs, because that's all I seem to work on for right now, but that'll change. I promise you. Hey, it'll just be another car or truck to me, so no big deal. Well, all right, Hank, I see you typing there. Have I caught up with everybody for the week? We'll give them a couple more seconds. All right. Well, Hank didn't respond back to anything, so that tells me that we must be done for the day. All right, guys. We just want to say thanks for coming by, sending me in some great questions today, and we'll work on this lag thing that because we're working with new equipment, but we will get it figured out. And we appreciate you bearing with us as we experience our technical difficulties. But we will win this battle, as we do with everything we work on. Well, everybody have a great weekend, a great week, and God willing, we will see you next Friday at 3. Y'all take care.